All right, I'd like to call this Parks Advisory Council meeting to order. We'll start with a roll call. To my left,
Linda Goldhart,
Kelly Whitaker,
Keith Cecil,
Rhonda Ankney,
Roger Hitch.
and we'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, moving into the minutes. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting?
yes.
Do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes or any changes?
I'll make a motion.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and moving on to the budget. Did everybody have a chance to look at the budget before the meeting? Any questions on the budget there as is?
I have none this month.
Your questions.
Great. Okay, let's move on to new business. In the back of your packets there is a, just went ahead and, I know we really only sent that one email out to everybody at the beginning of the year with the checklist schedule, but I know we spoke briefly about this, either late January or early February about, working together as a team to get that checklist schedule, or get the checklist completed each month. And just wanted to throw a reminder in there about that. And we also have a checklist printed off here in front of you in case you want to refer back to that. But and then as far as the process goes, we'll be taking that spreadsheet and then just emailing out to the team when you're finished with that. I think we've all done a good job of that, but obviously as we get further along in the years,
This is the one that I did yesterday, and I couldn't get it to go by email.
couldn't get it to go by email. Okay,
So I made copies of
Oh.
them tonight.
there you go. Look at that. There you go. We'll scan it and send it out and get that done. But the timing of that couldn't be better, right? Because then we got an actual copy in front of us.
Well, I mean, why would you want to, well, unless you want a record in your.
It's a great reminder. Yeah. Very good.
My granddaughter wasn't available to help me, so.
Just got it. Yes. Hey, that's all right. Like it. Overcome technology. So anyhow, just wanted to send that out and as a reminder to everybody in case you want to. And then obviously, if we need to switch or anything like that, this is what we've thought about for the rest of this year. And then, moving forward into next year, we can think about, if we want to remain in this process or make adjustments. But hopefully we can finish out the year strong with these. All right, good deal. Any questions on that? Comments? Awesome. Sticking with that, how did we look, Linda?
It was great. Windish, I had no issues at any of the other places, and Windish wasn't really an issue. Flower beds look much better. A lot of the growth had been removed. Ran into a family, said they loved the park. They'd moved from Bargersville to Greenwood, but still come back here to bring their little ones to play in the park. And there was a couple of young men there that I had ran into once before with a group of young people that had been just leaving as we got there. And I was telling them we was gonna have a community work day. They left their phone numbers with me, wanted to text us what the date and time and where, so they're gonna come and help.
Good, get some help. Very good.
And the only thing out here at the fountain, the one out by the road, it seems like it's ponding around the bottom a little bit, more so than what I've ever noticed before, like maybe
The
where
filter's
it goes
clogged.
down under to the retaining tank. It might be clogged up or something under there, because it was puddling a little bit around it.
Makes
So
sense.
that's the only thing that I noticed.
Usually those things come with a little cheap filter that,
Yeah, so, well, with as much activity as they've had lately, tearing all that stuff out,
Oh,
and
yeah.
mulch and everything that could have gotten clogged up.
very good. Okay, so reviewing some of the items that we have previously discussed, we did get an update. We've struggled this year with the landscaping with Greenleaf. Obviously, we've been well documented. Unfortunately, for the last seems like a while we've been talking about this. So that contract was terminated. And the street department has agreed to finish out the maintenance for the rest of the year. So, I don't know that there's a lot else to say there. Disappointment, but looks like as we move into this next year, we can learn some lessons hopefully, and get further along with that in the future. Any questions or comments on that?
Couple. Good, sure. One, then the tree department will take care of maintenance. Does that include the fall, fertilizer, weed treatment?
I have talked with them and they said that they would be able to take care of every item that was still remaining on the list to be taken care of.
And the other thing is, it's not really to do with this, but we need to start thinking about getting the bid package out for next year so we can get it to the town council in December so they can.
We spoke about that as well, trying to tighten it up and improve some things that might have left some holes open for this kind of thing to be able to happen, that I think we can overcome in the future. Maybe, tightening it up a little bit instead of being so voluminous, a little more concise on what it is what we're asking for as far as requests. So we always have something to refer back to. Probably part of the concern. There's a number of things I think that could have, in my opinion, could have happened with this, but I think there's some things we can improve on, including the timing and getting it out to give some other people some more opportunities to be able to get some bids in. Clearly, they weren't able to pull it off, but I think we need to get this together quickly. I did already talk with Bethany about this, about trying to get going a little bit quicker on the bids to see how we can give ourselves a little bit more time to get the bids out.
I just have one question. I know when we reviewed them on my first meeting in January, unless we found something that didn't work with what we wanted, it was kind of like we have to take the low bidder. I can understand we have to be fiscally responsible. But when we do that, do we communicate to the other people that, put in bids? The only reason I mention it is that when we asked about we asked a couple of the people who submitted about, I don't remember what it was about, but one of them came back and said, why isn't your current landscaper doing that? So I just don't want to, I don't know what's communicated, because I hope those others would bid again of why we didn't choose them. And I think they had been a provider before. Maybe there was a gap between those, but I don't know how our role, and we couldn't have foresaw, I don't think that this would have transpired the way it did, but I just want to try to make sure we do what we can in our diligence to either keep people informed and happy or allow us to make a decision. So I don't.
We send out an email to, or I send out another email to, the other people that submit, proposals, just saying, we appreciate you submitting your information, sending in the estimate. The Parks Advisory Commission has chosen another company. We hope to, provide an opportunity for you to submit for work in the future type of situation. So that's generally how I respond.
I think anyone in business has to understand that we can only choose one, so they, hopefully they understand that it wasn't them for some reason. It doesn't even have to be a reason other than the cost.
But I believe you mentioned we've kind of come back and forth, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
on a few.
Greenleaf, I don't know if they've had the full park maintenance. They put in
Legacy
Legacy Plaza.
Oh. Yeah.
It was fountain when they did
Yeah,
it.
they did that. And the other two.
We need to
have done
update
it
our sheet.
before. The other two that had bids from it had both done it before. One last year and one 2 or 3 years in a row prior to that.
So they kind of circle back around.
Again, I don't think we could have foresaw that it wouldn't go well, but trying to figure out ways to make sure that we.
And normally
That
for government work, it's the lowest bidder based on previous knowledge.
It's the lowest and most responsive
Yeah.
is the way that it's worded in the statute. So that means that we can, check references, you can do a score sheet and base things on like their capacity and availability and those types of things can factor in as well as just the price.
And looking forward, is there a reason that it's kind of divided between the town, street department and the landscape? Why does one mow and one does the other stuff? The reason I ask, because we had mentioned about asking or requiring them to put their sign out saying landscape by whatever the provider's name is, which I love that idea. But if I were that provider, I would want people to know, I didn't know this, or I'm not responsible for this part of it. This is the part I'm responsible for. So I'm sure it's cost effective to have the street department do it.
So historically, it was more cost effective for the town hires a person part-time to mow, basically from April to October.
Okay.
And then you see that in your budget items for mowing.
Right.
That's something that we could look at again and see, as we keep adding more things for that person to mow, as well. So if that's something that wants to be in the landscaping package, so that that firm is taking care of the parks.
Right.
And so they can have ownership of that. That's something you can consider. The other thing that we need to consider is that we're asking them to do the work so that if they do it satisfactory, it will meet our expectations and the parks will look how we expect them to look. So if we want them to look really nice, having them pull weeds once a month probably isn't gonna meet our expectations, even if they do a really good job the one day a month that they're here doing.
Right.
Just as an example.
That might be good for us to ask if they do the landscape maintenance and then maybe another estimate for if they were to take over and mow as well, and we can
Yeah.
compare to see where those costs
Do
are.
that as a separate item.
It might help. And if they, again, we want to be cost effective, but if they're there mowing weekly, they may notice things more often and
Correct.
maintain as well, instead of it being just a drop in, which may be a good inspection one week and you're maybe in a hurry the next week kind of thing
Mhm.
too, or next month or whatever.
Yeah, those are all items to consider when we put together the scope for this next time.
Very good.
So moving into the next item we've got on there, the Legacy Plaza sign. We did get some response back. There's a photo in the back if everybody saw that. Gives the scale to the degree. I'm not sure that it was measured exactly, but it's probably close enough to what that sign would look like if we used the existing size in that location. We also asked for a smaller size than that, and still waiting to hear back from them. I don't know how everybody feels, but it does look to me like,
Just a correction, we asked that in the original email and they did not provide that information, so we said that you would discuss it at the meeting today.
sorry, thanks for that, yeah. So, we did request that, as Becky mentioned, and have not heard back from them yet, so, I guess so starting with this, for example, just coming to a consensus that does appear big and isn't solving our problems of being able to see, I think, for the traffic that's turning out onto the road, still creates that difficult visual, I feel like, from there, and sort of takes over the space. I don't know, is everybody in agreement there that that's a little large for that area?
Yeah, definitely, especially as we just like pruned or removed things that we thought was too large for the area, and then placing something man-made that's that big seems counterproductive, right?
So that being said, that there are some options, that we can look at getting a smaller sign. I see a couple options here. We can create a smaller sign that's maybe not necessarily a sandblasted, highly expensive sign for that area, especially since we're struggling to get bids back for the smaller sign with these folks. Maybe looking at doing a flat sign that's a smaller size in scale to this, replicating color and look, routed. That might be a single post sign, that from the aesthetically would match, but might just not have that depth of the other signs that we already have at the other parks. Is something that I think we might consider looking at, especially given the fact that we've kind of struggled getting, an option of the exact same sign in a smaller scale. What do you guys think?
I almost wonder, and I could be totally off base and it would look different than the other places, but almost having one that is like ground based. Is that a monument? Is that a headstone? I don't know what you want to call it. But maybe that has like that as an inset or those colors on it. Because even if we do one post and it's smaller, it's still lifting up where everything else seems to be lower. I don't know if that, again, may not be the same thing we're looking for, but for the size and space, it might make sense.
With just the drive between the building here and the plaza, what about if the sign was attached to the end of the building here facing? And it would just have to be one-sided and attached to right here in the middle of the building.
Trying to visualize that. Would that be noticeable? And would folks know, because there is that drive there, right? You know,
Yeah, there's a drive between the
right,
building
I guess
and
it's
the
not that
plaza.
far. I don't know.
I don't know if I saw it, if I would associate it with that out there.
It might be just a little far, yeah.
And the other thing, during the day, unless the sign was up high, there were always cars parked along there, so people driving past wouldn't see it.
It goes on building, yeah.
One thing I thought about was, since we know that the town is looking at rebranding and whatever we put here is probably gonna be temporary, however temporary that may be, 2 years, 5 years, whatever. If we saved the expense of having a regular sign made and just consider like the for sale signs that realtors use made out of metal, we could probably get this design on it, but just something that we just stick in the ground, may want to cement it in some way, you know, to give it a little more permanence, but just something to put in the ground until we do know what the other park signs might need to look like in the future.
Mhm.
And then also adding maybe the town's website at the bottom of it saying, if you'd like to purchase a paver, go to here, and we can include a little more information on something like that, rather than a replica of this.
And those are, 24 inches wide, that type of sign, which if this is 50, I mean, you could visualize that being, yeah, I mean, you're looking at about half that size. If it's on the ground, I want to say those realtor signs are, I think they're 3 foot tall. So it might come right about to that green line there. I love the idea of that being customizable. So, because we could use the rider line to put that exactly what you just said. So the top of it could be this, right? And the bottom of it could be for pavers. It might look really good. I mean, it would obviously look temporary because it is what it is.
I just, for a concern, just as a devil's advocate,
Yeah.
I don't want it to cheapen the look of the space. That's a possible concern depending on
The quality of what we
quality
purchase.
and things like that.
I also think along those same lines, if we're doing a push of it having a new name and we want people to buy pavers, I don't want it to be too temporary looking, that it's like, here's our splash, here's our little sign. And I'm not against, I think it was a great idea, but I'm kind of with Bethany on.
So again, what if we were somewhere in between that and we did something like, I'm circling back to that, I'm not trying to keep proposing the same idea, but doing a single post, two-sided sign would solve multiple, so you could get the logo on both sides, right? If we didn't want to route it, so it could be, like I said, it could be custom cut in this shape. I know that's a capability. But it could be a square sign and have that opportunity to say, hey, pavers for sale or whatever it is that we want to put on there. My thought, actually, now that I'm thinking about this again, this is talking out loud, but maybe both. It might be a combination where we think about doing, the single post sign that's metal, two-sided, so you can see from both ways, roughly 24 by 24, somewhere in that range. And then at the bottom, we just get a yard sign at the bottom, because yard signs kind of move a little bit, an economical yard sign that just says, some kind of artistic pavers grand opening, not grand opening, but, something in there that we could come up with the marketing to let folks know that we're kind of revitalizing this push for pavers. That's more of a temporary look and small, but then also has that permanent look of a metal sign that's posted into the ground.
And substantial. And honestly, if we did a smaller sign or a temporary sign with the paver information, it wouldn't have to necessarily be right here. I mean, it's movable. It could be back here by wherever we would want to
Right.
place it. It doesn't have to
Couple of
incorporate
them.
together.
I was gonna say, you could do
Yeah.
two, one on either side of the park, because you could do one wherever. With those are very inexpensive.
And it definitely doesn't have to be all together.
Yeah.
It gives us that option to remove it, put it back out,
Right,
put it on a different spot.
I like that idea.
Okay. So then I think what would be helpful then to make that decision? Something similar to this with the design on there? What do you guys think we need to see moving forward from there? For me, that's what I would like to see is another photo like this of kind of what we just talked about, to firm everything up, that, hey, this is what this would look like. I don't know, what do you all think?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
Are we set on this location for the sign? I'm trying to, without looking out there. Is there a location for it behind this part of this, the north side of the sidewalk?
By the bench area?
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
when I
here or
went over
corner?
there and looked at it, my concern, if it was over there, it would be off-centered and not as visible by street view.
Okay.
Yeah, and I felt like with our and this is just my thought, with our trying to promote it, if it's not noticeable by the eye, it
Right, I agree.
might be just that. And the other thing is if it's too far back that way, then the folks traveling, what direction is that? East on the road there, might not catch the sign due to that, that little tree that's there that might be in the way. Whereas if it's over here a little bit, you have there's a little bit more time, for folks coming that direction to see that sign. But no, that's a good thought. And that's the other nice thing about putting this on a photo is, hey, let's put it on a photo, see what it looks like. I mean, is it going to be, are you going to be able to get the whole picture? No, but I think from my standpoint, you would at least have a better chance of seeing. I mean, you probably really want to walk out there with the pictures. All right, here we are.
That's what I did last time.
Is it?
I walked outside
Yeah.
to look at the plants and also kind of have that. I just think, I like the idea of having the same branded look, so it makes it cohesive with our other parks. I like giving it a permanent, like structured sign that doesn't do a disservice of us trying to revitalize it. If we're wanting people to invest in pavers, then I think we need to invest in what we've got. I think the placement makes sense that it's along the roadway, I guess. And then seeing another picture would be great, just to get a better mind's eye visual of what it might look like with it being a lot smaller.
So it sounds like we need to get a couple quotes on that option.
Do we want to nail down if we like A or B?
Yes, I think so. And I can't remember what the other ones.
They're like A.
That's what I thought. I
Yeah,
was like, I
background
feel like
initials.
that's what the others look like. I like it with that. I think it gives it depth and it visually is interesting.
You like it with the LP?
Yeah.
Oh,
You
okay.
know?
I think it just gets in the way, to be
You think
honest. I
so?
think it's a lot easier to see the words. That's just when I look at that, it's it's kind of,
Is it?
whoa, yeah, where I see the Legacy Plaza a little bit clearer in B. That's just my personal look. I don't know, what is it?
I think considering that the other signs have it,
Stay
it
consistent.
would be a vote for that, but I agree that the B is clearer, easier to read. I think if we stay with the colors and the shape and the lettering and everything similar, then you'd almost have to be side by side before you wouldn't realize
Right.
that those letters weren't behind there. So I think my vote would be on B.
I think so too, especially, if we're gonna scale it down, anything to take away from the clarity of the words might not be helpful.
Right.
So I think that the
It's
less, right, that when you're making a smaller sign, the less information, that I think the better off we are. So
And one thing too, like on A, it's a little more eye-catchy. But B, you can see it, read it better. And be honest, I don't remember the other signs having the letters behind it.
there you go.
I know
So
Wendy's
you're
got
not worried
the
about-
W, but I don't know about the other two.
Well,
I just see the one dish and the
Yeah,
Switzer.
there is a W behind it, because I, tell you the truth, the first time I noticed it was yesterday when I did the inspection.
No, I can get on board with either of them. I think a very good point. When the scale is smaller, it's more important that it's, legible.
yeah, plus it's not gonna be that dimensional sign that's gonna really,
Stand
where it
out,
can
right.
separate from that. So I think you would notice it even more on a flat face sign. So.
I'll make a motion then that we go with the B design, and get estimates for a smaller sign with the one post. And then would like to see that as kind of a mock-up in the picture with the estimate.
I'll second that motion. I'm sorry.
I don't know that we need to vote on that, but, all in favor? Aye. All right. That's official, I like it. All right.
It's nice to have a clear direction.
Yes. All right, very good. Well, we'll do that and get a couple estimates. Okay. All right, moving on to the impact fee and master plan. I'm thinking we're gonna turn this over to Julie on this one.
Update on the impact fee study. We have a meeting this week with the consultant on that project. So we are finalizing the data collection phase, I'll call it. And so those of you who are on that committee can expect that we will be asking for some of your time to review that data. Either the very end of this month or beginning of next month. We will be sending out a calendar request to get together and kind of go over that data and set our appropriate levels of service that we're looking for, and kind of talk about where we are, kind of the amount of growth that we expect to see over the next 10 years and what that translates to in terms of park services. So that'll be the next step on the impact fee. And then on the master plan, we've also been collecting data. The consultant has been out at the farmer's market. I don't know if any of you saw him out there, or had an opportunity to vote on, did a voting exercise with people that came to the market in terms of what facilities they wanted to see. And I think he had 4 questions that people answered. So we had a good response at that. And we're basically running on a parallel track with the 2 projects in terms of collecting data and then getting the groups together. Meetings will be slightly different. Impact fee is much more technical in nature. And the master plan is, I'll say it's more visionary in nature. So that's kind of the the difference of the two. But you're on that group. I think we'll be trying to get folks together and kind of review that data here shortly as well. So
Great.
appreciate your time, and we can send out as much or as little data as you would like to digest. So feel free to contact me with any questions.
Very good. That's exciting. Thank you for the update.
Absolutely.
Moving on. Okay, also, we have already kind of alluded to the service day project. We have nailed down, as you can see, that Saturday, October 23rd. I think that was my homework for the month, and we got that taken care of. We have also gotten some other kind of exciting progress on this as well. So prior to that, the streets department has agreed to clear out the horseshoe bed.
Pretty much done. I mean, there's still some,
It's already done?
They've mowed it down.
yeah,
They have not necessarily removed anything
right.
per
Okay.
se. They've mowed everything down. They've not taken out any extra mulch, plantings, or graded it yet. So, but they kind of did that like as we were talking about it.
So it's a step in the right direction,
Yeah,
big
they
time.
were excited to do it too.
It's awesome.
I mean, they were happy to tear things up. It's fine.
Yeah.
Win-win.
So, so then that gives us some clarity on some things we can do for this this day, because that was I feel like one of the things we really were looking to have improved by this service day was to be able to clear that up. So got some big help there. So hopefully by that 23rd day, we'll have it to a point where the things we'll need to do would be to, to seed and straw that area, paint the benches, cut back perennials, and some other things that we can think about between now and then. We've reached out to the impact folks to try to get a head count as to where we're going to be. So we have an idea roughly what we're looking at as far as personnel, and so we can get a list of equipment that we'll need, and be able to know, does it make sense to reach out to community members and really get a great deal of help for this, or where we're standing. So I do not have an answer as to how much help we're going to get already for the 23rd, but waiting to hear back from them on that. Should be any day. My thought was once we hear back from them, then we can get a better picture of what it is that we have as far as people, and then reach out to the two guys that you spoke to and put it out on Facebook and some of these other platforms to try to get some more help once we figure out how much we have given these jobs we're trying to get by. And then let's say there's a pouring of an abundance of help, we can maybe expand past just those projects there in Windish and send some folks over to some of the other parts to do some of these things. But if we can get those few things done there in that area, focus on that, then we can expand this project, this service day into to all the parts, depending on how great that it gets. But I was worried we weren't even going to have this, and now we're moving forward with it. It's exciting. We're going to get some stuff done. So that's where it was right there. What feedback does everybody have based on that with where we're at? Any questions, comments, concerns?
What time are we looking at as far as starting, and are we gonna meet at Windish and then disperse out to the other parks if we have enough people to do that.
So I think the great thing about having this group help us is they're 9 to 1. So my thought was 9 to 1.
Who's this group?
This is the Impact Southside Youth.
Oh, okay.
Folks, yep,
Not present.
that's right.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, yep.
You had
So-
talked about doing that.
Yes,
Okay.
So we've got- and I'm trying to figure out how much that is. It sounds, I mean, if I had to get, in my head, I'm thinking 20 to 30, but I could be way off. I really don't know, and it could vary week to week. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he says they come that week and we don't know how many, but I'm hoping to get a ballpark on it. Then we can kind of pivot from there. So in the end, 4 hours of work for what we're looking to do,
Get a lot done.
yeah, even if we have 30 people, I feel really good, personally feel really good about what we know. Am I a master gardener and know how long all this stuff really takes? No, but I mean, I think I could paint a bench in half an hour, just myself. And so I feel like, if we can get to that, I don't know, 30-ish number, we're in real good shape. That's what I'm hoping for. So we'll just see. I mean, I don't know. That's a great question though. And if we go past 1, I mean, I guess that's not the end of the world. We can always, for people that want to stick around, we can do that, certainly. But that's kind of, if we're promoting it, I think that's fair to ask for half a day's work from somebody.
Would it be wise to select a rain date in case it's pouring rain like today?
Especially with painting, we could think about that. The challenge is that we would then lose that group because they book out. Matter of fact, I gave them 2 dates and they were like, well, we definitely can't do this one, but we're open this date. So, and that was, I don't even know, maybe a month ago or so, a month and a half ago. So they are, we would likely be looking at next year if we did that. So
we would just maybe take painting off the schedule for that day if we had to.
maybe, let's see, we could cut, I mean, I know that, at least I believe with seed, you don't want to get it wet until it hits the ground, right? I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah, you can,
Can you do it in the rain when it's actually raining?
you can, I mean, you may not get it broadcast.
It kind of sticks.
Yeah,
Okay.
unless now as far as getting wet, you can hydroseed it.
Oh, yeah. I've seen them do that in my
But if
neighborhood.
you're doing it with a broadcast, then it gets wet and it won't come out.
Right. Now, I guess we're limited by the equipment that we have too. I'm not thinking we've got a hydro. Well, I guess we could. I mean, I think they sell those at Menards, right? They're in those cans where you can hook it up to a hose.
We've got one, a road, it's got a bucket thing on it, and you can walk behind it and push. We've got one of those we can use.
Yeah, I've got a
Maybe
couple
have
of.
2.
Yeah. I don't have the hydro equipment, but you're right. I probably could find something like that if it did rain. I don't know. Anyhow, what else? Anything else on the service day? I think we just roll with it and see what we can get done. I guess to answer your question, that would be my thoughts.
So one other thing too, seeding the rain. If it's raining, it's gonna be mud.
Yes, could be good, right?
Well, no.
Except for the guy
Oh,
walking behind the
Oh,
cedar.
creek ruts in it.
Cedar, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well,
All right, no rain for October.
no rain.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it's just not gonna
No
rain.
problem.
Put it on your prayer list.
Well,
I think if we get something scheduled, hopefully it'll take off and we won't have any rain or whatever. But if we get something scheduled, I think people look forward to things like that from year to year. So maybe it'll build from year to year, or at least the interest.
I would agree 100%. That's something I mentioned as well, is regardless of how many people we get, I think the most important thing to this is how well we cover this event. So getting great, I know with NCAA, same, that how well you cover it really creates that buzz for the future and kind of legitimizes the event. So, if we get a nice article written, we get it up on the site, we get it in social media, those kind of things afterwards, we do those things that, people might look forward to that on an annual basis, you know. maybe
Or wanna
do
get
some
involved
things, or want to get involved, yeah, maybe in some other areas of town, who knows? I don't wanna, you know, disperse our help too far, but you know, that's how you do some cool things around town, but. Yeah. Anything else on the service day? I have any other discussion items?
Well, I got one.
Yes, sir.
Did you have one about the fence?
Oh. Yeah, I snapped a picture of a tree that had fallen on the fence at Switzer on the way over. And I think Bethany's already called her Julie called the troops, so I think they're working on it probably as we speak.
Or at least taking a look at it, but they
There we
may not
go.
get to it today, but they'll probably get to it sometime this week, I would estimate.
And I got
Look
one,
into it at least.
one other thing, Switzer Park. Over a month ago, the park went in and cleaned that brush out of the fence row. Next month it looked good. That type of brush, being an invasive brush and what it is, it's back. Would there be any objections if I went in there and sprayed it and killed it?
I don't know.
Julie?
Don't believe so.
You may get some irate community members. I'm just saying,
But I'm not spraying the grass where the kids are.
you just never know. Just throwing that out there, you might.
I know, and
Members
if we did, because somebody did put on that next door that they talked to somebody at the town, said whenever they treated the grass, they would close the park.
What was that?
Whenever we had the grass treated, they closed the park that
Oh.
day.
Hmm.
I mean, that's what somebody put on there.
Okay.
I'm official, but
All right. Anything else?
It's based on the parks maintenance that the state did come out. That
Bunch
is
of numbers.
this weekend's date.
Fair enough.
Just needs to be a little bit, your print,
Mystery day.
white it out a little,
Like I said,
lighten it
my
a little.
computer technology is nil. So
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I have to make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjourned.